A small cut can turn into a bigger problem if it's treated the wrong way. Most people think minor wounds are simple. You rinse it, maybe put on a bandage, and move on. But in reality, many everyday cuts and scrapes become irritated, slow to heal, or even infected because of small mistakes made in the first few minutes after the injury. Knowing how to handle a minor wound properly isn't complicated. But the order of steps matters. What you clean with, how you stop the bleeding, and how you protect the wound afterward can make the difference between quick healing and days of discomfort. Understanding a few basic principles can help you treat minor wounds at home safely and confidently. Minor wounds happen all the time. A kitchen knife slips while cooking. A tool scrapes your hand in the garage. A sharp edge catches your skin while you're working around the house. Most of these injuries are not serious. They may bleed a little, sting for a moment, and then seem manageable. The problem is that many people either ignore them completely or treat them with methods that actually slow down healing. Some people use harsh chemicals that irritate the tissue. Others close the wound too quickly without cleaning it properly. And many simply cover it with a bandage without checking whether debris is still inside. These small mistakes can lead to redness, swelling, prolonged healing, or infection. Treating a minor wound correctly starts with slowing down and following a clear sequence of steps. The first step is to control the bleeding. Most small cuts and scrapes stop bleeding on their own within a few minutes. If the wound is bleeding, apply gentle pressure with a clean cloth or sterile gauze. Hold steady pressure for several minutes without constantly lifting it to check that in many cases, the bleeding will slow down and stop naturally. Once the bleeding is under control, the next step is cleaning the wound. This step is more important than many people realize. The goal is simple. Remove dirt, debris, and bacteria before the wound begins to close. Start by rinsing the wound under clean running water. Lukewarm tap water works well for most situations. Let the water flow over the wound long enough to wash away visible particles. That if you see dirt or small debris that does not wash away easily, you can gently remove it with clean tweezers. If tweezers are used, they should first be cleaned with alcohol or soap and water. What you want to avoid is scrubbing the wound aggressively or pouring strong antiseptic chemicals directly into it. Some disinfectants can damage healthy tissue and slow healing. Simple, thorough rinsing is often the most effective cleaning method. After the wound has been cleaned, take a moment to examine it. Minor wounds usually have shallow depth and smooth edges. If the cut is very deep, continues bleeding heavily, or exposes deeper tissue, it may require medical attention. For minor injuries, the next step is protecting the wound. A thin layer of antibiotic ointment or protective ointment can help keep the wound slightly moist. Moist environments often support better healing compared to completely dry wounds. After applying a small amount of ointment, cover the wound with a sterile bandage or dressing. The bandage protects the wound from dirt, friction, and additional injury during daily activities. However, covering the wound once is not the end of the process. Proper wound care continues over the next several days. Bandages should be changed regularly, especially if they become wet or dirty. When changing the dressing, gently clean the area again with water if necessary, then apply a fresh bandage. During this time, it's important to watch for signs that the wound is healing normally. Healthy healing usually involves gradual closure of the skin, reduced redness, and less tenderness over time. But if you notice increasing redness, swelling, warmth, pus, or worsening pain, the wound may be developing an infection. Another important point is avoiding the habit of constantly touching or picking at the wound. When a wound begins to form a scab or new skin, that layer protects the healing tissue underneath. Repeatedly disturbing it can delay the healing process and increase the risk of scarring. Keeping the wound clean, protected, and undisturbed gives the body the best chance to repair itself naturally. One more detail that many people overlook is preparation. Treating minor wounds becomes much easier when you already have basic supplies available at home. A simple kit might include sterile gauze, adhesive bandages, medical tape, antiseptic wipes, tweezers, and a small bottle of ointment. These are not complicated tools, but having them ready means you can respond quickly and calmly when an injury happens. The key insight is that safe wound care is not about complicated treatments. It's about following a simple structure. Stop the bleeding, clean the wound carefully, protect it properly, and monitor the healing process. Each step supports the next. When the wound is cleaned well, the risk of infection drops. When it is protected properly, healing can happen without unnecessary irritation. And when it is monitored over time, problems can be recognized early. This structured approach is what turns basic first aid into safe and effective care. Minor wounds are a normal part of everyday life, especially when you work with tools. cook frequently, or spend time doing hands-on tasks at home, but the way you respond in the first few minutes can shape how quickly and safely the wound heals. By slowing down, cleaning carefully, and protecting the wound properly, you can avoid many of the complications that people often experience from simple injuries. If you found this explanation useful and want to learn more practical systems for handling everyday health situations at home, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to review a structured guide that explains these types of steps in more detail, there's a useful resource linked in the description that walks through many common situations people may face at home.